Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. But the theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. The odds may be stacked against you, fair enough. But what the odds don't, where passion has a funny way of trumping logic. Result. And the don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
Season 4 campaign of the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series exclusively on LSRTV, getting kicked off under the lights in Daytona Beach, Florida at the World Center of Racing. And we want to welcome you back for a new season, just 7 days removed, however, from the Season 3 championship. So the guys that didn't tear up their race cars, they're still here. Maybe new stickers on the car, new number, new teams, whatever the wraps may be. It is time to go back racing, and it is the iSuperSpeedway Shootout at Daytona. Welcome to the LSRTV broadcast booth alongside with myself, Evan Pasoko, driver analyst, and alongside me in the broadcast booth is Garrett Atwell, and then as well PDJ Zeller working on getting up here as well. May have a little bit of issues trying to navigate the whole Daytona Rising, I guess, going on. A little bit difficult getting up to the broadcast booth this evening, but we're trying to work on that issue with him, and until then, it's going to be me and you, Garrett, up here, and we get set for this race, which is going to be 80 laps. There's no points on the line. All you're going for is a trophy and bragging rights. There's a lot of guys out here that it's their first time being teammates with people. A lot has changed in the off-season, which has really only been 1 week.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting race because everyone will be going for the win, because there's no points on the line. And it's just go or go home, either bring it to the checkers or bring it back on the hook. So it's going to be a very exciting race, and I'm very excited to watch it with you guys up here in the booth.
24 drivers will compete for the hardware, and then in 1 week's time we do go points paying racing, and then that win in 1 week's time when we go to the iSuper Duel at Daytona, where 240 lap races will determine the field for the season's opening and points paying event back at Daytona once again. So we close the season off here, and we have the first 3 weeks at Daytona. So some of these guys may have gotten a condo or something to save them some time, but we are down the back straightaway, and there are 24 cars to go through this. Top 5 had to qualify in, pack 5 rather, but the top 5 of the LCQ that just got with qualified into this race, and they'll stack them up at the back of the field here. Everybody else predetermined for Season 3 points, as well as a past champion provisional going to Frank Busilia, who will start in 17th position. The big thing that you'll notice on the front row is the Henrik Motorsports cars take up 3 out of the top 4 positions. Mark Jorgensen Jr. on pole, Josh Haner second, Josh Ball in third. To the likes of the top 10, you got Greg Hook, Shane McEachin, Rodney Wofford, Jared Haggerty, Brandon Chaberte, and Corey Henry. There are now team championships and all of that, but right now that's not on everybody's mind because all they want is a checkered flag and a trophy. Pace car is down and away, and the unofficial start to the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series Season 4 is green at Daytona.
They go down into turn 1, and the 88 is leading them down.
And this is a new draft. It's not the first time that these guys are out there on it. We had to see these guys really be thrown into it with not a lot of ability to practice on our championship week. Just 1 week ago when they closed out the Season 3, Rod Flag taking home the championship in that one. But it was all said and done over Greg Hooks, who would come home in second position. Now they've had a little bit of time to work with it, an aggressive move. Up at half of the 48 car, Josh Ball leading the outside charge, forces himself down in line. He'll squeeze in between the 88 and the 28. That leaves the 24 of Josh Haner to lead the outside charge, at least now, as we work off of the corner and head back towards the start-finish line to put lap number 1 in the books. And the pole sitter will lead us across the start-finish line. And Garrett, this new draft, really the new build, has seen quite a bit of changes on the iRacing service, but nothing really took as big as a swing at it as this draft model. And there's a lot of people that love it, there's a lot of people that hate it. These guys have had 7 additional days compared to what they had when we determined the championship at this very racetrack 1 week ago. What are some of the things that the drivers have kind of been able to pick up on? I know you as well, attempting to qualify for this race and those very limited 5 go or go home positions. What have you guys been able to kind of figure out about this draft package as we see these guys try to work it out? Something that you don't normally see in these races, before the build I guess I should say, but the top 7 single file, and with no help up high, the 24 is going backwards.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan. It's really a lot of it is dependent on side draft. If you're on the outside, and ooh, I think it was the 25 just had a big moment back in the pack, but if you're on the outside, you really gotta get a good run, you know, and get right up next to the car on the inside, right on the door, you know, and hopefully it slows them down a little bit and shoots you forward. Also, you can push, but it's very hard because the car behind you cannot suck up very well. So if you're the lead car, like you see the 3 and the 98 doing right here, the lead car has to drag the brakes a little bit so that second car can keep up with the lead car.
And it is a very interesting balance that you have to strike if you want to be able to be successful. A lot of people said you need maybe 3 cars to make it outside work because, again, it is significantly harder to make that 2-car tandem work because the 3, as you say, Brandon Chaburko and the 98 Greg Hook, so far the only cars up on the high side just in front of them going to join that outside charge from P. The Haviland 40 of Shane McEachin. He has no friends, however. The 7 of Rodney Wofford thought about it and goes right back down to the 28 car, going to be sliding backwards, and he'll try to get in behind Rodney, but if this 23 machine of Jared Haggerty is able to get there in time, that hole's not going to be there, and it does look like McEachin will have a spot in line. He'll drop from 3rd, down through 1. Length, one of the endurance races that we'll see throughout the season, not the B-main and A-main format that takes it the majority of it, but a lot of changes for this iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series Season 4 schedule. Go online and check out all of that information at iSuperSpeedway.com. But you also have now the Daytona Circa 07 track before the repave of this very racetrack is going to be in the schedule 2 times, once in the regular season and once in the chase, as well as a new chase format with 5 chase races and eliminations after the first 2, after the 4, and then 3 cars will be tied heading back to this very speedway later on in the year, fighting on equal ground, and the highest finisher in that walking away with the trophy. But that is still very far away. Out my teammate in their 4-car pass with what kind of I'm going to go. The only machine that right now is somebody else is Richard Holiday after being able to qualify P9 is 24 on a racetrack and 24 seconds back. Now, if he stays out there and we stay green for quite some time, he could easily lose this lap. Good news for him, Garrett, is he's the only one back there, so if we were to get a caution at any point here, he would probably get that wave around if he does fall off at a lead lap, but something you just rather avoid as this inside lane, they are all over each other's bumper. A big freight train, probably 14 cars deep. The first car trying to make something happen up on the high side is that 09 entry of Robert Williams Jr.
And they're 3 wide entering the tri-oval with the 78 on the inside, the 09 in the middle, and the 98 on the outside. This is really scary for the race. 7. Where those 98, it looks like you got a piece of the wall right there. It looks like they're going to go back not single file, double wide. But right now, I'm just looking at, if this was me, I'm a very aggressive driver, I would be going for the lead right now if I was at 48. I mean, this is a non-points race. Have fun, go for the lead. Be changing every lap. But I understand right now that they're wanting to log some laps, get close to the end, not wanting to tear up their equipment. But I think the later this race goes, the more exciting it's going to get. Absolutely. And it's already pretty exciting.
And you see that 09 car who's trying to get that push, William Roberts Jr., the 8 machine, a little bit squirrely down low. That's the Dushine Chevrolet of Dana Osborne on the inside lane. That paint scheme was just revealed about a day or two ago, and fresh out of the booth here under the lights at Daytona for that 8 machine, as Dana started 15th and has cracked the top 10 right now, sitting in P8. But you see the 09, and it's a part of sim racing that we talk about, and a lot of these super speedways as well, Garrett, is the the net code, and the fact that you really have to push that side draft. We saw it take one of our championship contenders out of it 1 week ago, trying to get a side draft. Car almost reacted like it blew left front just because the sim recognized it as it making contact. Still had about a half a foot or a foot, but because you got to pinch down so hard to get that side draft and work that much harder, that it just makes you more susceptible to those kind of mistakes. As that 28 car,
you gotta run.
He went up to the high side. Remember, the 7 didn't go with him. He jumps up in front of the 09, and now he's neck to neck for the top spot.
Yeah, it's side by side going into turn 1, the 28 and the 88. I believe that 09 fell off the 20. They're going to follow, but that outside lane, this is the most organized I've seen it all week here. And I'm really expecting now the 3, Shaburko, who's trying to go 3 wide, that's expected of him. He's very entertaining driver to watch. I'm keeping my eye on him tonight because this is a no points race. Anything goes, and that plays right into the 3's hands. But I'm honestly, this 48, he's testing it right now because he keeps poking his nose right under the 88, and I believe they better be careful because one of these times they're not going to be clear, and you might have a big mess. And here comes the 09, 3 wide on the 28 going into 1.
And you see 3 wide as the 09 goes up high. The 28 had originally ducked back down the line. There you go.
There they go.
Sideways in front of the field. The 28 of Shane.
There everyone goes.
Big trouble as all these cars into the outside wall. The 24 is in it. And early at Daytona, maybe not the big one, but quite a few cars in that. A lot of cars surprisingly able to sneak through, but it's exactly what we talked about. Small movement down on the apron, or down on the bottom rather. We'll see the replay going up now. Just the slightest bit of maybe net contact code with the 24
it looks like net
and
code.
The 7. It maybe got hooked, but then you see that 28 car react as if he just got doomed. It's a sim racing just talking, and it turned that around. A whole bunch of guys in that Buscemi is time we slow him down at their big incident coming off of corner number 2.
What I'm seeing right now is the 88 and the 48, those are the only 2 cars that made it through there without any damage. I believe it looks like, and actually taking a look at the replay again, that 48 may have got a little bit of right rear damage when the 28 came down. So possibly the only car without any damage is the 88.
And we're about 10 laps into the season. We're not even dishing out points, and already we got drivers on the radio. It's big track racing, short track style with the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series. As we pace for the first time, we will take our first caution flag on evening step away pace the Bills and come back to the Daytona International Speedway. The iSuperSpeedway Shootout on LSRTV continues. Stay tuned.
Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. The theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. May be stacked against you. Fair enough. But what the odds don't know is this isn't a math test. This is a completely different kind of test. One where passion, funny way of trying. So before you step up to the starting line, before the whistle blows and the clock starts ticking, just remember, out here, the results don't always add up. No matter what the stats may say, and the experts may think, and the commentators may have predicted, when the race is on, all bets are off. Don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
Back live at the Daytona International Speedway for the iSuperSpeedway Shootout. Check it out on the back bumpers of the cars that stack up on the front row with the hashtag iSuperShootout. Also use hashtag LSRTV on Twitter and see yourself live on the broadcast. Pace car gets down and away. We're set for our first restart of a caution flag on the evening. Pace car well down and away. Green flag flies. It's the Henrik Motorsports Chevrolet entries who take us back across the start-finish line. 2 wide all the way through 20 at the moment, all stacked up nose to tail inside of the top 5 here. You see a little bit of a bobble, but the 23, the 09, the 51, the 25, all up there on the outside lane. What we saw in the initial start was that outside, really not the place to be until we got about 5 laps in, and you found help, you found a partner to really try to make some headway with. Until then, it's just about time to like contact as the 48 gets down. He's in the door, the 14 of Robbie Roy. Meanwhile, behind him, the 23 ducks in line, and we're bouncing off each other already as we cycle out of quarter number 4.
Yeah, this is getting really exciting for a restart on lap 14. Come on, guys. But, oh man, they're almost 4 wide right there. But you got to watch that 14 because it looks like, from my vantage point, he doesn't have a rear bumper. So they got to be careful when they're pushing him. They're 3 wide. 23, the 51, and the 09 are 3 wide right there. But right now, it looks like that 48 and 88 are the class of the field right now. Everyone's going to have a hard time getting around them.
And you saw what Jorgensen did as he was the leader, he was clear, but he still ran that middle lane coming out of 4 to allow that 48 of Josh Ball to draft up on the back bumper, come back down in line in front of the car that then would have been leading the inside draft, the 14 machine of Robbie Roy, and that's why you got those Henrik cars almost trying to pull away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, but they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that.
They're going to get hot eventually, and
that 14 is going to be coming
behind him. The 14, he's working, as you said, with the 09 machine of William Roberts Jr., who's actually now slid
23.
back in line after being 3rd. He's gone significantly further back from 3rd to 11th in one line as he went up to the high side in that 3-wide battle and got backwards contact. The 51 of Jason Altman sideways.
Oh, and there they go.
That's not going to work. There they go. The 96 car is the one that gets turned around. Chad Keene into the outside wall, back up and still spinning in the corner. Looks like 3, 4, 5 cars involved, and now 16 laps in the iSuper Shootout. We slow us down for the 2nd time tonight. Trouble down in 1 and 2.
Yeah, they were 5 wide for a second as that incident was occurring. That's not going to work at Daytona. Maybe Talladega, Daytona, not so much. It looked like that all started. The 75 moved up into the side of the 51 going in the corner, and just it's on from there. I mean, you're going 200 miles per hour plus, and it's going to be very hard to save that. 98 hits the apron, and it's just a big mess from there on out.
And you take a look at the replay there, so we slow him back down as Jorgensen will collect himself behind the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car, which works down the back straightaway in front of those backstretch grandstands, which are going to be gone pretty soon here in the real world. Not sure if that update would be, anytime soon as far as the new Daytona grandstands, but little side note there, but it is those Hanerick cars that have been up front. The 24 was the third of them that was able to be up there on the front row on the start of the race. Problem for Hanner was he started in second out of the outside lane. He went backwards. Jorgensen's working with Paul, but they couldn't drop back 6 rows on the outside to get to Josh. He got caught up in an incident, and he now finds himself at the latter half, I guess, of this lead lap pack of cars. He's 17th position, back out on track using that reset, I would imagine, because he was turned around into the outside wall, and he's going to have to work on getting his way back up, but it's not as simple as you find somebody and go, because you really got to work on it. If you're fast and you know how to work the draft, you can still make the passes, you can still make that outside work, but it takes significantly, I don't want to say more effort, but almost exactly along those lines if you want to be able to get that job done. So far, only one car has dropped out of the race. It is the number 8 Dewshine Chevrolet of Dana Osborne. That car is down in the pit lane and can't quite tell if he is still behind the wheel or that. The car will sit down there regardless if he's in it or not, but his night may very well be done. Half of our leaders stay out, half of them come down pit road, and the most of them that are coming down have damage. Some of them, Garrett, it's the second time that they've had trouble tonight, and they're actually going to have to sit down there for X amount of time that iRacing gives them and actually have to try to get that thing fixed.
Oh yeah, that's one of the worst feelings as a race car driver on iRacing is just, sitting in the pits, watching everyone go around lap after lap knowing, oh man, if I could have missed it, if I could have missed that wreck, if I could have just made a move here, made a move there. It's a very difficult. You beat yourself up for it, but this is a non-points event. I mean, don't beat yourself up too much. It's just the first race of the season. That doesn't even count. So I mean, just for pride.
And although we talk about the fact that there are no points on the line in this event here this evening at Daytona, technically there are, because there's a little thing called monthly points championship standings. And this week, or rather this month, I guess I should say, is very interesting because what they do is, doesn't matter what kind of race it is, points are accumulated for each race, and they're going to take those points, put them into the monthly standings. Well, this month is very interesting because our first 2 races of March were the end of the Season 3 championship, including the second to last race at Talladega, the finale at Daytona. The next 2 races this month, tonight and then again in 1 week's time, the iSuper Duel, but tonight the iSuper Shootout as well, don't count for season points this evening, but they do count for monthly championship points, which Greg Hooks leads at the moment. So far, Rod Flagg is the only person to win 2 monthly points titles, which is the most points accumulated throughout a month's worth of racing since it started. I guess technically it was calculated all the way back to Season 1, Season 2. I'm speaking on the regards of Season 3 forward, maybe when they actually knew about it and kind of had that, not really, at forefront, but in the back of their heads, knowing that they're going to be trying to earn at least some extent of points. And this field was put together by winners in the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series. The way they stacked up was the way that the points came in. And Mark Jorgensen Jr., driver number 88, he qualified on pole via 9 trips to victory lane total in his iSuperSpeedway.com racing series career. Josh Hanner with 7 Ws. Would start in second. 6 wins to Josh Ball. A couple of guys, actually a handful, with 4 all-time wins. Greg Hooks, Shane McEachin, Ronnie Watford, Jared Haggerty, and Brandon Chiburko. Lone driver with 3 checkered flags is Richard Holliday. A handful with 2 of them, Corey Henry, Tony Fenn, Elliott Leach, Robbie Roy, and William Roberts Jr. And then 5 drivers with 1 trip to victory lane, Rod Flagg, Dana Osborne, Matt Bontempi, Jason Altmans, and in the past championship provisional to Frank Busili, who also has a trip to victory lane. Set the top 19, and then again the final 4 were in that LCQ. And again, that race was just prior to this, before we did go on air to determine all these guys shooting for those final positions. That one was a 25-lap affair, and unfortunately, Garrett, things didn't go the right direction for you, but I would expect that we will see you in 1 week's time for the iSuper Duels trying to qualify.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're gonna get that 91 Toyota Atomic Church Toyota out there, and we're gonna go for it, man. It's gonna be very exciting. I do like this new build personally. I'm pretty decent at side drafting, so bump drafting is not exactly my strong point, which you may have seen last week. But I'm very, very excited for. It's gonna be very entertaining to watch. Drive for
This car cycles through the 18 degrees of banking in the tri-oval. That's pretty equal to most intermediate tracks on the iRacing service oval-wise, and the lights do go out. So the restart here is going to come up and makes it easy math. We're crossing over from lap 20, which we work right now, 21 when we take the green flag, and it is going to be 60 laps to go in this 80-lap affair. Leaders have yet to come down for service. Pretty much half of the field has at least had to come down once, whether it be for damage repairs or pretty much damage repairs, I guess. I don't think anybody's really doing fuel quite yet. 19 of them remain on lead lap right now. Last car to lead lap is the number 2, Donnie Giratano, that Wrangler Chevrolet, after starting 19th. Still sits there. The cars that have lost their lead lap statuses is Corey Henry. The Bud Light Platinum Chevrolet SS, the 25 car, is 1 lap down in 20th. 2 laps down is Tony Fenn in the 78 car. That car is not on track, and he is officially behind the wall. His night is done. William Roberts Jr. in the 09 car, 22nd position, 2 laps down. He is as well officially out of this race. Chad Keen's machine scored 23rd. He's behind the wall and officially out of the race. And Dana Osborne, who is, again, not technically gone. He disconnected, came back, but is still not returned to the racetrack. 7 laps down in 24th position. So only 1 car still running that is off of the lead lap and still at the speedway. Everybody else getting set to get the backups ready or head back to the shop and pick up a whole new chassis, because the iSuper duels are extremely important. Not only that they set the field for the iSuperSpeedway 500 in 2 weeks' time, but they are also points-paying events this season, and they do count towards wins as far as qualifying for the iSuper Chase if you want a shot at the Season 4 championship. The pace car gets set to make the sharp left-hand turn down to the safety of pit road and front row. By the 14, back it away from the Daytona International Speedway. Quarter distance in the iSuper Shootout. Green flag as we race side by side all the way through the field down to corner 1.
Yeah, that 48 doesn't have a whole lot of help right now. I don't think it's going to exactly work out like it has the last couple restarts. It's a ways back to that 23, I believe, right there. And the 14 is going to be right on him here. It's going to be interesting going down the back. They make contact right there. 88's going to go up and pick up his teammate.
That's not the first time that those 2 cars have got into each other's door, and looks like the 14 actually backed out of it. Maybe he didn't want any more issues, but Roy slow going down into quarter number 3, nearly letting the 45, Kyle Gary, to make a pass on a high side single-handedly in a 45 Ford Fusion. He has the push now from that 23 that you were talking about of Jared Haggerty, and now on line has to get up to running position as they go right now. So top 3 single file. Haggerty works the outside, but you can't do it as 1 car. You can try to side draft. It might work for a corner, but ultimately he's going to need the car that came runner-up just 1 week ago, I guess, in the championship standings. And if you're a fan of odds, is picked to win the championship, because the last 2 seasons, the runner-up from the season prior has took home the big money at the end of the year and taken home the hardware as the series champion. And that's that 98 of Greg Hooks. That's who Haggerty's looking to give him some help here. Looks like they try to get hooked up down in corner number 1 and 2.
And this is going to... that 45 is right between the top 2 and then everyone else. But watch, that 45 is going to get swallowed up by this pack. And I don't know what they're going to do when they get to him, but I don't think that 48 and 88 can stay out there that long. I mean, they are strong at pushing, but when that 45, 23, 14, when they catch them, they're probably going to go flying around them.
And you see the working together that was up high. Well, the 23 got what he needed. Jared Haggerty ducks down in line, and next thing you know, it is Greg Hooks who's looking from the assist. And how about that 24 to Josh Hanner? He was just scored in 17th position. Trying to make something work up on the outside lane of the racetrack. And albeit they're now about 7-8 car lengths minimum off of the top spot, because the top 4 not necessarily all over each other, at least for the moment. Expect everybody to get back tucked up not too long from now. Again, there's still the no push in the travel, no push in the corners. You can't get hooked up, at least. You can give them a shot or 2, but you can't stay hooked on the back bumper, which is significantly harder to do even with this new drafting package anyways. But it's just something that you still have to keep in mind. One new thing that does incorporate that, Garrett, would be the new qualifying procedure procedures for some of these races. Open qualifying, where you can go out there and there are no limitations on pushing in the corner, pushing in the tri-oval. But in qualifying, sometimes I guess it's almost a 50-50. You got to be really gentle on the guy's bumper, because if you get a 0x, which is incidental car contact, essentially very minor, if iRacing detects that, they'll basically scrap that qualifying lap. So that is going to be something to be exciting, and something that you guys as the drivers are going to have to try to figure out for this year.
Oh yeah, we actually got a little taste of that tonight in the shootout qualifier, the last chance qualifier to get in the shootout, and it's definitely going to be interesting, because I mean, if you look at real world Cup Series racing, it's wild, but now in iRacing, it's definitely going to be wild, but it's very very aggressive. I know at one point, even in qualifying, I made it 3 wide just so a group behind us couldn't get a run around us. So you're going to see a lot of lane blocking, trying to hold people up, so your lap will stand. It's just going to be wild.
And single filing out, because you almost don't want to be, I guess you want to be hesitant to say that they're riding, but to a description they are, but also they're trying to get some momentum going, trying to get grouped up, trying to work out some strategies, talking with the spotters, trying to get something rolling here to get some help. That 98 car of Greg Hooks, who was going backwards, you see the 24's not even pushing him, but there's that little bit of a pocket of air between the 98 and the 24 that it's quite difficult to break if you want to get up to the bumper, but it still pushes that car in front of you. You see now they're going to get a little bit to the bumper down the front straightaway here into the
Here comes the 48.
They make significant time. You see that 48, you just said it, Josh Ball. Jumps up high, thinks about blocking.
Look at the
line.
run.
The 88 thinks of it as well. You're going to be slower, though, on entry, because you're going up the hill on the outside as opposed to the inside, where you kind of dive it down. Expect that 88 and 48 to try to get hooked up now that they see a challenge up high, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
And the 24 is going to leave him.
Saw that one coming, because that's his teammates, and goodbye to the 98 unless somebody gets up there very quickly. He just used up that 98 of Greg Hooks.
Yeah, it's getting interesting, I mean, it's not fun when you have someone push you all the way to the front and then they leave you. I've had that happen a couple times. It looks like you're about to have about 4-car train with the 98 as the engine and the 3 as the caboose there, the red caboose back there, Brandon Chaburko. But they might be able to get a run here, because I've noticed 2 cars, they can get up there, but they can't make a pass. If you have a good line, 4, 5, 6 more cars, then you can really start making a good run for that lead.
And it's once you get clear of those cars to the front where you lose that advantage that the side draft gives you, and you almost hit a wall of air trying to snap it along. Let's see if the 98 leaves the 51, because, I mean, hey, he got left. Could he do the same thing, or does Hooks really feel like he can challenge for the top spot? He knows that he can at least push up to there, but the question is, can he be pushed into that positioning right now, like we saw the 24 car do so to him earlier? Looks like he's staying, though, with the 51 car behind him. He's going to work with Jason Altmans for the time being, but somehow, some way, and throughout this difficult draft package, and all the top 2 Henrik cars have stayed there. The 24 had trouble, and now already back up there. And it's the 40, or rather the 88, the 48, and the 24 marking those top spots. And we'll make it back-to-back times. The 98 gets left again. No help for Greg Hooks, because Altmans ducks down to the inside and leaves him hanging.
11 is too, man. That's not a fun place to be at when no one wants to work with the 98. I don't know. I mean, he's a good driver. Come on, guys, work with him. But this is a very entertaining race to watch right now. Even though it's not quite for the lead right now, they're going for about 6th on back. But here later in the race, everyone's going to start making moves, and it's going to get wild. I can guarantee you right now.
And when the 24 left the 98 out to dry, he said, "Sorry, Greg, I was getting hot. Not sure if I'll buy that," because we can see those matching paint schemes on the 48 and the 88 in front of them. The 51, again, it almost looked like that the 98 of Hooks was staying out there, because he could have left Jason Altmans, Garrett. He decided to stick with that 51, not abandon him, and then the 51 left him. And there's a point where this is really where teammates will help you, and with your going to these plate tracks week in and week out, alternating with Daytona and Talladega, teams are really of most importance in this series than any other kind of racing you're going to be doing. But that's the chance you take. You got to work with somebody. You got to put trust in them. And at the end of the day, there's only one trophy, and 24 people want it.
Yeah, and look who's starting to creep back up in the picture up there in that lead pack, is that 3 of Brandon Chaburko with help from Greg Hooks. I don't know, the way Hooks has been treated here recently, I don't know if he's going to want to stay with anybody, but look at this. Best battle for the lead you've had outside coming. And they're coming to Chaburko. If you're on the line, you really staying up. So, and looks like the 11 is going to leave the 51, and the 98 is going to leave the 3. So it might be that 51 and 3 working together here. Oh, and there goes Chaburko. He's going to go to the back.
And now it is the number 3 on the decline. It's a constant system before where it was significantly easier to pass, I guess. You'd see 2 cars go up high. The guy in first in line would get clear of the leader. He'd drop down, and then that guy that was pushed, he would slide back 4 car lengths. He'd get help. He'd get pushed to the lead. They're not getting pushed to the lead. They're going to drop in line about 3rd now. So that whole cycle is kind of shuffled back about 3-4 positions with this new draft model. But you know that it can work. A lot of this, as well as some of these guys recognizing that, hey, this is an 80-lap race. We're just about 30 now, 30 laps into this as we work lap number 32. So 49 laps remain, closing in on a halfway point at Daytona. Just kind of, playing with the waters a little bit, seeing what you can and cannot do. We've seen that if you lose track position, you can get it back. That with the 24. We've seen that with the 3 at Chaburko, who started in a top 10 spot, went backwards, now back up to a top 5 running position as
Here
they
comes
go
51.
right now. 51 of Oltmans. He goes up to the middle lane. Chaburko thought about going with Greg Crooks around him, but that 3rd lane is quite difficult to really get going, and they just decide to jump in line, and they're going to give that 51 some help.
Yeah, that 88, it looks like he wants to move up, maybe block, I don't know, not a good idea right now. That 48 and that 88, they don't want to give up that lead. When you're the leader here, it is very hard to get around because you do punch a big hole in the air, but when you get to the front of that leader, it's just hard to get around him, and you really got to work the draft. And that 51 looks like he's going to tuck back in line, say, right now is not the time. And I believe here pretty soon, some of these guys are going to be having to make green flag pit stops, and the 11 comes to the outside.
Yeah, the 51 goes in, and now the 11 right back up to the outside lane. And he'll work with Brandon Chaburko, who now, again, at 24, had lost touch with his teammates for a little bit. 2 cars got it between him and the 48. 48 and the 88, by the way, very comfortable, at least at the moment. They've been up front the entire race after starting nose to tail. First place and in 3rd, so on the inside of that 2nd row, was the entry of the number 48 machine, and that time by, once again, ball returns to that position. The outside lane was scored 2nd last time by, but then it was able to get clear, I guess. So now you see that 11 working with Chaburko. Chaburko taking over the honorary role of Greg Hooks at the moment because he's pushed 3 people up and been left every single time. If this 11 car's able to get something rolling, then you'll see Chaburko and the 98 who feel each other's pain, and that'll be fun. To see if they're going to decide to do anything. We remain, though, 18 cars on the lead lap. 14 of Robert Roy is 18th, and you were right about having him no back end because he was in that lead draft without the back bumper, but now that he's lost the draft, which is very easy to do, incorporate a little bit of damage in that, you can forget about it, and he's about half a lap behind at 18th, hoping for a quick caution here before he would lose that lead lap status.
Yeah, and this is the best run I've seen 2 guys on the high side get all day. The 11 and the 3, they're going for the lead right now in turn 1 and 2. 11 side by side with the 88. This is getting entertaining here, Evan.
And side by side for the top spot they go. 2 wide, 2 rows deep, and there's 3 teammates on the bottom, so you gotta think that they're gonna have an advantage because they've been practicing pretty much, I want to say, the entire offseason. Well, it's been about 6 days since they've been to Daytona for the season finale. But you see the Hanerick cars, they get hooked up. You can do that, but unfortunately only 3 out of the 4 Hanerick entries are in this race. So the 24 is not able to get up with that 48. The 3 car jumps down the line. He's getting tired of being left, and this time it's the 11 car who finds himself at the outside. And Joshua Williams, who, by the way, in that FedEx Toyota, the number 11, who scored 3rd, has picked up 15 positions to get there. Chaburko now jumps back out in line, and now the Coca-Cola Chevrolet will be in front of the 11 as opposed to being the pusher.
And this is going to be close right here. Chaburko's trying to get all he can off that lap car 25. Get a big run, slingshot through the middle. It's going to be, they're going to have a big run going into 3, but I don't think they'll be able to get the run. Here they come through 3 and 4. 3, he's going to get close. 48's moving up just a little bit here. That 11 can't be pushing in the corners. You got to be careful. I know from firsthand experience, but here they come to the travel. 88 leads yet another. He's led every lap, hasn't he, Evan?
Jorgensen has definitely, we've seen times at least where the cars on the outside have maybe gotten a nose over him, but are not sure if anybody's actually had him at the start-finish line. You see, he has led every single time around the circuit, so the 88 absolutely dominant, but it hasn't come without challenge, as you see with the 3 and the 11. Looks like Chaburko has gone into somebody at one point, because at least on my end of things, I'm seeing some small damage on the roof of that car, just about where the name would be. on the left side, which a lot of people refer to it in iRacing as the bird poop, which you get into the side of somebody and it scratches the roof. Could be a signal that he got into the side of somebody. We've seen the 88, the 48 be bouncing off of some of the guys that have been on the outside throughout the race, but you see Cheburko this time by. He will be the first car that's not numbered the 88 to get the
and he left him.
He waited. He tried to bring that 11 with him.
Whoa,
Not even
3
so,
wide.
and there goes the 88, the 48. They're going to try to split him 3 wide. Now back to down to 2 wide. Is that 48 to Josh Ball going to go with his teammate? Yes, he will.
Oh, a little bit of contact
no
right
help
there
for Cheburko as they're almost bouncing off. You see the 3 trying to block him all the way up to the wall, giving him not a lot of room. Can they get clear by the corner? They're going to make room and driving back down over the nose of Cheburko is Josh Ball.
It's getting exciting, isn't it? We haven't even hit halfway yet, so I mean, this is definitely a blast to watch right now. That 24, watch him right now because he's gonna get a big run. He might want to get up there and help that 3. I don't know. I mean, I feel Cheburko's really strong. He's already got a good feel for this draft, and we're only a couple weeks in on this build, and you got that kind of feel for it right now. You're gonna be doing good here this season, and they're coming up on the 2, going to be lapping him. Watch for Cheburko to use him again as possibly a pick. Nope, 2's going to pull down on the apron.
The 2 machine again staying well out of the way below the double yellow lines, which signifies out of bounds at the Daytona International Speedway. You cannot make a pass if you put 2 tires, or for the whole car, I guess, for that matter, which would be more than 2 tires, so that makes sense. But you can't make a pass, advance your position below there unless you're forced down there. We saw that come into play at the end of last season at Talladega. Cars going down to the inside. Leader shuts the door all the way down to the double yellow, and the eventual race winner just had to go down there. Race control did say he was forced, and the checkered flag rightfully went to that car. So although you can't willfully, I guess, advance your position, if you get forced down there, stay in the throttle and see what the admins call it at the end. Never lift coming to a checkered flag. You see that 3 of Cheburko. The 32 is right behind him. That's a hot-looking machine for the 32 of Seth the Merchant. Has been rather quiet and sneaking in line. Not a lot of room. If that car's about 12 feet long, it was about 12 and a half feet because he just slid in on the back bumper of the 48. And once again, the Henrik cars get divided by a 4 and T because now the 24 will be 4th in line down low, and 3 cars lead the outside charge, and you know that 3-car charge is led by the 3, Brandon Cheburko, the 03 of Richard Holliday, and the 23 of Jared Haggerty. Halfway at Daytona and the iSuper Shootout. Now on the downhill side of things, and the action is only going to pick up from here. We'll step away very quickly, go side by side, expect pit stops to be coming up soon. A lot more the lights at Daytona. Stay click.
outside contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Did even give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Back live at the Daytona International Speedway with the iSuper Shootout Season 4 unofficial opener on LSRTV continues. Welcome up to the LSRTV broadcast booth. Again, myself, Evan Pasoko, and Garrett Atwell in the tower tonight. And a lot just happened as those pit stops kicked off exactly at halfway. The top 4 came down. All 4 of them didn't make their pit stops correctly. One of them, Brandon Chaburko, lucked out because he missed it completely. Rode through the grass, then came down and pitted, finds himself 16 seconds off at a top spot. However, everybody else not quite as lucky, taking out the cone, spinning into the grass at least 20 miles an hour over what the pit lane speed is. Then we had more sets of cars come down. Garrett, it was Richard Holiday at that point that if him and his teammate would have been able to make a solid stop, the car that he came down with, rather, they would have been gone. Well, they didn't quite get hooked up very well as either. They're still in what would be the lead pack of cars. Greg Cooks, by the way, in that number 98, has yet to come down pit road. He still scored over our leader, 16 seconds ahead of Chaburko and 34 seconds over everybody else. So, although Chaburko was on the shorter end of that as far as when he came down pit road, almost lucking out because he's working with Shane McEachin, and unless those guys behind him are going to make up 18 seconds, he's got to hold on for 30 more laps in this race, and 18 seconds, quite the gap if he has help. So we're going to have to see if this does go green all the way to see if that strategy even plays itself out. But right now, a lot has changed with only 9 cars on the lead lap.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a complexion of this race, Evan. Right now, you have a pack of about 5 cars. You have the 7, the 32, the 23, the 02, and the 75, it looks like. Yep, 75. I'm proud of myself. But these guys may end up being the ones battling for the lead because 2 cars nowhere near as fast as 5 cars right now, honestly. And last time I looked at Chaburko, they were running up right against the wall. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see what happens here. We might get a caution if something weird happens, but it's looking like this race has a green look to it right now.
And again, things that easily on green flag pit stops, which at these restricted plate race tracks, and again, a majority of this league's bulk of their races are those heat formats. So the B main and the A main, where if you're pitting, it's most likely going to be under a caution flag, and you know, it's something that gets overlooked almost too much in these plate races. And again, it could cycle to be being Chaburko well out in front, but these guys have closed 2 seconds on him, about a second lap, so that would put them there with that 3 car by the end of it. But you got guys like Rodney Wofford right now who scored 3rd, 35 seconds off at the top spot. Seth the Merchant right behind him, that 32 car. You know he's very strong on the speedways. Came back for the Season 3 championship race at Daytona. Not really the result that he was looking for, but we know he can get the job done. And his new team is going to be looking to try to fight for a championship as well, as they'll be running full-time on the Season 4 campaign. You got guys like Jared Haggerty there, Richard Holiday. They have once again found each other after they were way spread out in comparison to each other, at least 20 car lengths, 1 and 2. When they blended back up at a racetrack out of the pit lane, the 23 was off of Holiday. They have found each other again because the 7 and the 32 came up behind him and just kind of took them with them. A little bit of an electrical issue there, it appears, for Jared Haggerty. Nothing too major. And again, 9 cars still on the lead lap. All eyes really go to Greg Hooks. So look at this, the 98 car right now. Our leader is working with Corey Henry, and he just lapped the 45 and the 24 of Kyle Gary and Josh Hanner, who are right down there on the inside with him.
Yeah, right now I'm looking for, once Hooks has to pit, which I'm pretty sure he will have to, this second pack, if they can stay pretty coordinated, I believe they can run down that first pack. Now, if that first pack catches Brandon Chaburko, that's a whole other set of issues. But right now, my money may be on this group with the 45, the 24, the 51, the 11, the 25. You know, these guys may be in the catbird seat right now.
But Chaburko continues to slide back to those cars that are scored 3rd on back. Again, they're still 35 seconds off of Greg Hooks, because Hooks finds himself at a pack that is much bigger than just the 2-car battle that Brandon Chaburko is working with the 28 of Shane McEachin with. So Chaburko's lost 4 seconds. 15 seconds is the differential from Chaburko back to Wofford, to Merchant, Haggerty, Holiday, the guys that we were just talking about. Greg Hooks is not going to be able to make a pit stop, get fuel, and get back out up to full speed in 20 seconds. It's not going to happen. So what he would really like to see would be a yellow. Still put him probably to 7th. Everybody else would probably still stay out on the racetrack. He wants a yellow in regards that he could very easily end up all alone, because right now he's working with the 45 of Kyle Gary. That car is 8th position on the racetrack. Again, just lost the lead lap status. The 45 has pitted. Just behind him, the 24 of Josh Haner has just pitted. So the 98 can't say that he's going to come down with the guys behind him. They're not going to throw away their race. Once he pits, they'll get back to the lead lap. Then they might want a caution to be able to get back up in that lead fight, but 98 really doesn't have any help right now, so he's trying to drag that fuel cell out as long as he's saving for still no green-white checkers in the system. He's just trying to stretch it out and hope that he can get a caution, because right now it's going to be a lonely pit lane for that 98 car.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the oddest races I've ever seen in iSuperSpeedway. I mean, have the whole field spread out like this right now is very interesting, but that second, well, I guess it's really the first pack if you look at it. They're running down Brandon Chaburko right now. I mean, they're really running him down, and, you know, within the next few laps, they're going to be there. I don't know what he's going to do. He might have to throw some crazy blocks or something to keep them behind him.
The gap continues to close from 2nd to 3rd position with only 6 cars on the lead lap right now. Again, Kyle Gray, though, you got Josh Haner, Jason Altmans, Joshua Williams. All of these guys are running in the same pack that our race leader is, but they're just behind him. So they're literally about a car length and a half from being on the lead lap. Once the 98 pits, they'll get back to that, and that'll make it about a 10-car party at least. But the 98, folks, the question is, again, how long can he stretch this? Our leaders that stayed out and again had not pitted went all the way to lap 40, which signified the halfway point in this race. The 98 was down on pit lane, back under the caution flag earlier in this race on lap number 12. Really stretching it. Right now would be 44, at least 44 laps on that fuel. Give or take, he has been running under caution, so could be saving, but I don't think that Napa Know-How Chevrolet is going to be able for much longer, and he is really starting to run out of time for this strategy to come full circle.
Yeah, you better be careful, because he might be that caution. If he runs out and he's got that pack behind him, he's got to be careful, because just a little bobble and they'll get in the back of him, and there may be his caution, but not in the format that he was looking for.
The 11 car keeps sticking a nose to the outside. That's Joshua Williams, scored in 10th position. He works behind the 51 of Jason Altmans again. Would be a battle for position, but really no need in fighting with each other right now, because they are, again, just waiting on Greg Hooks. And the difference would be is, because our guys right here are with our leader right now, Greg Hooks, he's running 44-second lap times, which means that this pack that we're talking about with Gary, Hanner, Altmans, Williams, they are 7 seconds away from that, I guess really the main pack of 4 cars that you would get, that Chaburko's coming back to, that sits with Ronnie Wofford, Seth the Merchant, Jared Haggard. 7 seconds, not impossible, but it's not going to help when you're going side by side as opposed to just single file and pretty much freight training it, because you see the 51 going to the outside with the 11. They don't want to wait for the 98 to pit. They want to get back to the lead lap, and they want to do that now, because really, if there is a yellow, this is a 4-car fight for the lucky dog.
Yeah, this is very interesting right now. That 98, he's a leader, and he's trying to hold him off, but they're all not even on the same lap as him right now. So, I mean, he's got some to lose, but not a whole lot right now. You don't want to block him too much, and I believe it sounds like he's going to possibly be pitting this lap. So, it should be getting really interesting here.
And indeed, the 98 has come over the radio, and Greg Hooks will be hitting the pit lane this time by. Question is, how clean can we make it? Because we haven't seen a lot of them tonight. A lot of trouble getting them woed down on pit road. A very conservative entry that time by. Down from 195 plus miles an hour to the pit lane speed of 60. The Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet for service. We keep an eye on Brandon Chaburko, who continues to work with that 28. They cycle at a quarter number 4 right now, and the 98 just into the stall, an insult to injury, overshooting. that stall entry, and pretty much the final nail in the coffin for Greg Hooks, unless we get a yellow, and he'd still have to pass a good amount of cars to get back to where he was. Gutsy call. Sometimes it's a position that you're put in that you gotta do exactly that. However, it's not going to come full circle on this one, and everybody now cycles out at the tri-oval, just as at number 98, you see him right there down on the apron, getting passed by Wofford, DeMerchant, Haggerty, Holiday, and company. Once the scoring updates, the 3-car will be our race leader, Brandon Chiburko, working with Shane McEachin. We were just talking about how our leader was fighting against lap cars. Well, now the car that's going to go to the lead is working with lap cars. As you said, it is a very strange toll on this race, or twist on the race, I guess we should say, that it has taken after all of the mayhem down on pit road on green flag pit stops. Is going to work with you can get at this point.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. It's just down to right now. Can the 3 work with that lap car 28 enough to keep themselves far enough out front of the field? The 7 just came around and he is 10.9 seconds back, so it's going to be close. The 7, 32, 23, 03, all those guys, they need to stay lined up, and they will run them down if they stay lined up, I believe. They're coming to 20 go this time.
This time across the start-finish line, 10 seconds. They need at least 5 per lap if they want to be able to get to Brandon Chiburko. This all in theory if we stay clean and green. And if you know anything about SuperSpeedway racing, the last 20 laps, and well, it is called the iSuperSpeedway.com shootout. Well, we could see very well a shootout if we do see a yellow, because now 16 cars have returned to the lead.
They knocked off 5 tenths.
Brandon Chiburko's working with Shane McEachin, because Shane McEachin in front of him is now the last car in the lead lap. So very funny how this is all working out, but you said 5 tenths. That is the bare minimum that the 7, the 32, the 23, the other thing need to do every single lap. They're all lined up. They're doing everything they can. The question is, can they get him in a drag race for the top spot? We step away for the final time during racing conditions, 3/4 distance. At the iSuper Shootout at Daytona International Speedway, the first checkered flag on Season 4 going to be handed out as the intensity and the strategy continues to boil up from Daytona. You're not going to want to miss this finish. Stay tuned.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself, and they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
cars are lined up on the grid. Ferrari.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn one for the first time.
Big change at Daytona. The top spot now goes in favor of the 7 of Rodney Wofford. After starting P6, he's at the top spot, and then right behind him, Seth the Merchant. Started 20th. Is up to P2. Two very different tails sit on the top 2 spots right now. Brandon Chiburko was forced down pit road. He was unable to make it with the limited amount of fuel that they put on after the mistake the first time coming down pit road. He was forced down in, so almost pretty much on an equal strategy that we saw that Adi Gray Cook was unable to do so. He goes down pit road. It is now 27 seconds off of the top spot. So now it's a 4-car race. 6.3 seconds to the good over 5th on back. 15 laps to go the last time by the start-finish line, and the gap is going to go from 6.3 to 5.9 for P5 on back. That's a single-file group twice as big as that lead pack is. I feel like they're going to be a little bit short, though, as far as closing in that whole gap, because closing in on what's going to be 13, 14 laps to go now in this race, something that Joshua Williams, Kyle Guerry, Josh Hanner, Jason Altmans, Rod Flagg, and Ray Rittenauer want is a caution, and then those top 10 would be right back up, stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah, this is, right now, it looks like this is kind of in the hands of the 23 and the 03 because they are teammates. The 7 and the 32, you know, they'll work together because they know that they're not going to get any help from the other two. The 32 is kind of odd man out right now because if he makes a move high, 23 and 03 is going to go underneath him. If he stays low, they're going to go around him. So 32 is got to be looking at all his options and saying, well, dang it, I don't know what I'm going to do. But if it stays like it is right now, which that second pack is really closing in on him now. I mean, they just put it down to just over 5 seconds back. It might be close.
And I think you see the increased intensity on the 32 and the 7's behalf because now Seth the Merchant and Rodney Wofford are pushing away, and you see how easy it is to lose that connection with that car in front of you if you're the third in line. They put another lap on the number 2 of Tony Garitano. The Wrangler Chevrolet yields high, but you see how quickly Jared Haggerty went backwards. He'll get back to his teammate Richard Holiday, but now they're no longer freight training. It's now 2 sets of 2 up at the front of the field, another half a second gone. If they continue to gain at that rate, those next 6 cars,
2 to go,
position, they will be there coming right up to about green-white checker territory, 2 laps to go or so, if we stay clean and green throughout the field. And we shouldn't have an incident with these guys because they're not going to be fighting with each other. 11, the 45, the 24, the 51, 26, and 21. They are each other's best help right now because they need that single-file freight train to be able to get up to the leaders. Meanwhile, the top 4 now once again become a top 4. They separate from those top 2 groups now as the 23, once he got back hooked up with Richard Holiday, got right back to him. Eyes go to that secondary pack, and he only picked up 0.3 of a second. Next time by the start-finish line, 10 circuits and 25 miles separate that number 7, Rodney Wofford, from a checkered flag, and quite the hardware walking out for the season unofficial no points pain opener and the iSuper Shootout, but I can guarantee you that DeMerchant, Haggerty, and Holiday are not going to roll over for it. There are still a couple of other cars that are on the lead lap that are not in the top 10 of those 2 big packs that we're talking about. P11 is 25 seconds back. That's Greg Hooks. Brandon Chiburko does have help with the 75 of Josue Ramirez, 12th and 13th on track, 36 seconds back. Just behind them, Josh Ball and Shane McEachin, who had good starts. They were up there at the start of the race. Things just did not cycle up for them after they had speeding penalties and they took out the cone, so all sorts of infractions. Trying to come down pit road at that halfway point essentially took themselves out of contention. However, nothing again still stopping us from a caution, making this a 15-horse race to the end. That secondary pack picks up another half a second. They may be a little short. Now they're getting impatient. Look at the 45 to the inside and putting a pass on the 11. Not sure that's the smartest move if they're trying to make up time, because that's going to cost them speed.
Yeah, but they get it sorted out really quickly. Maybe the 11 has a little bit of damage. Maybe they're communicating. I don't know. 45 is going to move back high. I don't know what he's doing right now. It looks like he wants to go to the back of that pack. But this is... they're close. Oh, they didn't close any that lap,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like.
I don't know.
It's...
You might have just shot yourself in the foot on that one.
Yeah, this is going to... I think they may have just ruined a chance, sad as it is, one move like that. But you never know. These leaders can start racing hard, and they'll catch up just like that. You know, but if they get close enough to start sniffing the draft, they're even going to be closing quicker. So I don't think they have time, but you never know. Anything can happen.
We're hearing that the 45 machine down the back straightaway made that move to the inside. We talked about it earlier. Made a little bit of an abrupt movement and had the left side tires below the double yellow line and was immediately going to give that position back before he would have been penalized. Dropping to the outside of that pack and going backwards cost him to lose connection with that draft. And now that it's the 11 and the 24, Josh Hanner has fought through a lot in this race. Garrett, he's started up front with his teammates, gone to the back in an incident, got back up front, gone back in the pit cycle, now a 6th on track, but again, they need to make up 3.4 seconds in about 6 laps. The next time we come by the start-finish line, the closer they get, the little bit more draft they may get off of these leaders, and the faster those intervals might go down. But much like we thought this battle with Chaburko may have been, with now our lead group trying to catch him, he came down pit road, but pretty much equally as close now as the secondary group tries to close in for the top spots.
Yeah, if they catch them, this is going to be a heck of a finish, and they did not close hardly at all that last time. I'm watching this lead pack right now, but they really didn't close very much at all. But I think what you might see here is if that 32 can work out a deal with the 23 and the 03, he might be in the catbird seat right now to win. But who knows? I mean, it could be in that the top 4 could even wreck, and someone in that second pack could win. I mean, you never know. It's going to be a wild finish either way.
Now the top 4 get bumper to bumper. The question becomes, do you wait? If you're Seth the Merchant, you know that when you get down to these latter stages, it's going to get hairy. You know that there's going to be pinching and there's going to be pushing maybe where you shouldn't. Try to get everything you can out of these cars with no green-white checkers. So once we get 4 laps to go, which, by the way, is going to be in 2 circuits around the racetrack, as 6 laps to go that time by, there was no chance of getting a green flag restart and trying to race it out for a green flag finish. This race would end at a caution. So if that's the case, the 7 is exactly where he wants to be. You guys have had a little bit of time, Garrett. Do you want to be first in line right now, or do you want to be second where Seth the Merchant sitting?
Right now, it just depends on your driving style. I haven't been running with Rodney enough, haven't watched enough. I don't know if he's that aggressive of a driver or not. If he is, and here comes the... Oh man, here comes the 23 and the 03. Now they're going to make their move. They want to do that right now in case that caution comes out. But right now, I still want to be that first car. But I don't know. It's you don't know.
Again, Daytona has significantly less room and less time than the Talladega Superspeedway to use that draft, come to the checkered flag. And you see, once the 23 and the 03 went up high, because Holiday hasn't really been pushing a lot, he's able to give that shove down to back straightaway. The 23 is clear. Does he take it, and does he leave his teammate out to dry? Does the 03 tell him to leave him out to dry? This could be the shot for Haggerty to take the checkered flag. He's kind of running both the bottom and the middle. This time by 4 laps to go at Daytona. And right now, Haggerty ducks down in line in front of the 7 car and Richard Holiday. No help up on the high side. However, new leader, the 23 car. 4 to go.
Yeah, if they keep doing this, that second pack's going to catch them in an instant because they just pulled off about 0.5 of a second that lap. So I don't know. They need to calm down. And here comes the 7 back to the outside. Yeah, these guys definitely don't want to be doing this because now the 03 is really falling off. He's going to have a hard time getting back up. That second pack, that 11 of Joshua Williams may be sitting in pretty good position right now as the 7 takes the lead back.
Williams is digging. They need pretty much a second a lap now. 5th on back if they want to be able to get the job done. The 23 of Jared Haggerty now finds himself back with his teammate in Richard Holiday, dropped back to get with him after leading at the start-finish line, dropped off the lead spot, Garrett, to go with his teammate. Can they make that 0.4 of a second gap back up? What a team move for the 23 to give up almost a trophy to go back and try to pick up Holiday. However, now with the Merchant and Wofford up where they sit right now, that secondary group gaining only 0.4 of a second, I don't know if that's going to be enough for Williams, Hanner, Oltmans, and Flagg. That group who sits 5th on back to have a shot. However, a gutsy move by Haggerty. He must be confident in their drafted abilities to give up the top spot, lose half a second. They're going to have 2 laps to go this next time.
They got a big run. They're going to have a huge run here off the corner. They're coming to 2 laps to go. 23 is going to move high. Watch the 32. He might move up to block and get a run with him. But I don't know right now. This is getting intense, man.
Bumper to bumper to bumper, 4 cars deep, all over each other, and 5 miles to go, 2 laps to go to determine who walks away with the hardware and the iSuper Shootout Season 4 checkered flag to get this campaign officially kicked off. We're glad to have you with us on LSRTV as this one is expected to be a barn burner. You see the 23, the 03 back off a little bit, try to get some momentum. Holiday jumps up to the outside lane, the 23 car, a little bit hesitant though on committing to that, jumps back down the line, wants a little bit more draft. We're going to be 4 cars single file, white flag in the air this time by, and it's a race now down to the checkers. I can guarantee you we won't be single file the next time around.
If I'm the 32, I want to let off just a little bit. Hopefully that 23 is willing to work with me, because if he gets off that 7's bumper a little bit, he will be able to make a big move. He's starting to peek his nose out just a little bit. You usually get the biggest run off of turn 2. 23, oh man, he's going to have to go up with him right now. I don't know if they're going to get around that 7 now. It's maybe a little bit too late.
That secondary pack is 1.8 seconds far off and probably 5 laps short of making it work. The comeback from the 23 and the 03 may be just out of steam. Does the Merchant duck out of line, and can that give a run to the 23 and the 03? At a corner 4 for the final time. Seth the Merchant jumps to the high side. He wants help. The 23 with nowhere to go, side by side to the apron and checkered flag.
Rodney
the
wins.
hardware to Rodney Wofford, who takes it at the start-finish line by 3/100ths of a second. Takes home the checkered flag in the iSuper Shootout at Daytona. The question was posed, do you want to lead? Do you want to be second? It was a valiant charge by Haggerty and Holiday to try to get back to them. DeMerchant would have run this race if Haggerty didn't go back to the inside. The 23 tried to find an additional hole, and by 3/100ths of a second, Rodney Wofford picks up his 5th old-time iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series checkered flag.
Yeah, that was a heck of a finish right there at the end, Evan. I'm glad I got to watch that. That was very fun watching up here in the booth with you, man.
And this is just the beginning of a season that will see Daytona circa 07, which, if you don't know what that is, it's Daytona before the repave, and that is going to be wicked. A season that is going to see chase round eliminations, and a season that sees points and wins to get yourself into the championship. That'll be handed out in 1 week's time, because the next time we're on air, the iSuper Duel at Daytona, where a set of 40-lap races will determine the field for the iSuperSpeedway 500. However, the post-race tonight from Daytona, we'll talk to the top 3 and get you set for that 500 qualifier in 1 week's time. The post-race show on LSRTV for the World Center of Racing is up next. Stay tuned.
Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. But the theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. The odds may be stacked against you, fair enough. But what the odds don't know is this isn't a math test. This is a completely different kind of test. One where passion has a funny way of trumping logic. So before you step up to the starting line, before the whistle blows and the clock starts ticking, just remember, out here, the results don't always add up. No matter what the stats may say, and the experts may think, and the commentators may have predicted, when the race is on, all bets are off. Don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
Live back at the World Center of Racing, where the unofficial non-points paying season opener for Season 4 of the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series, the iSuper Shootout at Daytona, has come to a close in a wild finish that saw a lot of strategy, green flag pit stops, people dropping back. We had groups of cars trying to chase people down, and everything coming down to a side-by-side, two-row deep race to the checkered flag that, by the way, was a set of teammates versus a set of other teammates. And in the end, Rodney Wofford takes home the checkered flag in this one. You're back to the LSRTV post-race show from Daytona. And to get things kicked off, I'm down on pit road with the car that comes home in third position in this race after starting inside of the top 10, just a little bit shy of a checkered flag on this one. Down on pit road with Jared Haggerty. Jared, first off, walk us through the end of that one. You and Holiday trying to make something work up on a high side. You got clear, dropped back to get with him. You were able to get back up to the bumper of Seth and Rodney, but unable to finish the job down there. Walk us through everything from the cycle of pit stops that really spread everybody out, because we saw a lot of people have issues down on pit road, to racing for that checkered flag.
Well, me and Richard, I knew we were going to have to come in, and I really didn't have to come in until probably about another 20 laps, but he said he wanted to come in probably around lap 41. So we went in, got our fuel, and made it work for the rest of the way. I mean, it was a good call by Rich. I credit that one to him all the way, and he's best teammate I could have had tonight to push it to a win. I feel bad we couldn't bring our other teammate Robbie Roy along for the ride, but hey, that's plate racing.
What is the thought process, again, going into this, knowing that it is the start to a season where you can go a little bit more crazy than you normally would? We saw a lot of action going on with the top spot, blocking, switching lanes, the side draft, the push, everything come to effect now that you guys have had a little bit more time on this build. But entering this knowing that there are no points on the line, that's going to change in 1 week's time, because we got qualifiers for the iSuperSpeedway 500, which, by the way, pay points, and those wins count towards chase qualification. Mindset now going into this as opposed to how it changes now going into next week.
Let's basically just run it like we did this race. I mean, we were biding our time the entire race, trying to make the right moves at the right time, keep our nose clean for the most part, but mainly keep the car out front and keeping it clean throughout the whole race. I mean, we had that one incident where we got in the wreck early due to some trouble up front, but after that, it was just about keeping the nose clean. It looks like we did well enough to get a third place out of it.
We know that you and the team are going to be looking to try to be title contenders, get all of those cars into the championship race, at least into those chase races, and try to fight for it. What do you want us to know about your team going forward in this? Because you and Richard were trying to work together there, and what do we expect out of the gang as well?
Oh, we expect a lot from BBM this year. I mean, I'm hoping that we can all at least get a win this year and all make it into the chase. I know we had that big rivalry with Hamrick last year, and I'm hoping that we can actually get all of the members, besides me and Elliot, who couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately. But again, we need to get me, Robbie, Elliot, Richard all in victory lane so we can make a really good run for the chase this year.
Before we let you go, as always, Jared, sponsors and shout-outs, those kind of people. Who else makes it happen for the 7 car, or rather the 23 car, and then as well for the whole BBM organization?
Well, again, I got to thank BBM. I got to thank Rod for putting on the league as always. He's done a great year, and this year looks to be even better than before. Got to thank my new sponsor along on the car for this year, East Carolina University Pirates, sponsoring my car this year. And hopefully we're going to keep this luck going and maybe pull off a win at Daytona 500 here.
I said when we got ready to talk to you, it's nice to see you again after such a long off season, Jared. Thanks for talking with us, bud. Congratulations on the top 3, and we'll see what that 23 car as well as the whole team's got back here at Daytona next week.
Yeah, thank you, bud. Y'all have a good night.
That is your third place finisher tonight after starting in 7th position, coming home in 3rd, the driver of the 23 in Jared Haggerty. Now back down to pit road where tried to qualify into this race, and I guess pulling the Michael Waltrip with Brad Keselowski, whatever you want to call it. Garrett Atwell, you had the suit jacket on all race, but you still got the fire suit on underneath, and you're down on pit road talking with Seth the Merchant.
Here on pit road with runner-up Seth the Merchant. Seth, what was your strategy there at the end? Great run, so close but yet so far. What was your strategy to get around your teammate Rodney Wofford there at the end?
My strategy was I thought Jared was going to go with me there and push me around for the win. But yeah.
Yeah, that
ended up
was
not working.
having some technical difficulties, it sounds like, here with Seth. You got me, Seth?
Yeah.
All right. So that was a heck of a race. You know, good job all night. Who makes it happen for you in the 32?
Oh, definitely Rodney for working with me all race. Jose, Donnie. We just started a new team here midweek and got a 1-2 with it. So.
Yeah, good job, man. What are you looking forward to this upcoming season? What are your goals this season?
To get a win. I mean, I've gotten I think about 5 second place finishes. I need to actually get a win myself. Stop pushing people to the win.
Gotcha, man. Great job. Runner-up Seth the Merchant, sending it to Victory Lane with Evan Pasoko.
We're down where the first champagne bottles of the Season 4 campaign have been popped. And again, we said for the 5th time in his career, the first checkered flag on Season 4 goes in favor of the number 7 camp. And Ronnie Wofford, you burned it down. You had a little bit of love taps congratulatory at the end, so there's no nose on that machine anymore, so you might need a new chassis for the duels in 1 week's time. But first off, congratulations. You're walking away with the hardware, my friend, and I guess walk us through this race because, again, it was very interesting asking all the drivers the same thing. The green flag pit stops, a lot of people had issues cycling through that. That put your group way back from Brandon Jaburko, who tried to stretch it out to a yellow. That couldn't happen. Next thing you know, 5th place on back was breathing down your guys' neck, not to mention you lost the lead with about 3-4 laps to go. Haggerty and Holiday were challenging, but in the end, it is the number 7 Chevrolet in Victory Lane. Ronnie, how'd you do it?
I did it with the help of my teammates there, and I just wanted to ride at the beginning, keep it clean, got caught up, got a repair, and went back out there at it, made a nice clean pit, you know, just nice and smooth and solid, what I always try to do. Came out, had the lead, you know, after it cycled through, held it, and just ran, and we got past there and went for it when we felt like I had the chance, you know, broke them up, and relied on Seth there, and then just hoped it played out.
It all worked out in your favor. He went to the high side. Haggerty jumped low, but in the end, you were able to maintain the position and have it at the start-finish line by 3/100ths of a second. I guess the only negative to take out of this is you're not locked into the championship on this one. This is really one of the very few races that we see in the season that is not a win eligible to get yourself into that championship hunt. The duels will count, the 500 will count, as well as the majority of all the other ones, maybe with the exclusion of the All-Star race. Does that make you want to go back-to-back that much harder, knowing that you can get to Victory Lane with this new draft model and just going right back to business next week to get into 500?
Oh, most definitely. Back-to-back wins are awesome. I think I got 2 of them, or 2 back-to-backs, and yeah, back-to-backs would be awesome. That'd be great. Yeah, definitely.
We've seen a little bit of a shakeup in the schedule, I guess, this season. Daytona circa 07 is coming on board. That's a very rough one, as well as round eliminations in the chase for the championship when it comes later on to determine who walks away with a big trophy at the end of the Season 4 campaign. What are your thoughts on the things that we'll see differently this year?
Differently, well, it's hard. I mean, this is, if you get the right guys going, the outside can work. It's going to be teamwork to stay together in the draft. You know, just more data put in on this draft model and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's still scratching it and trying to figure it out every day.
Teams you mentioned are a lot more of a factor now because there's a cap on that, which means that there are now team points. Your teammate comes home right behind you because you and Seth were working together. Tell us about your team and you know what we should look forward for you guys through this season.
Oh yeah, they're Wicked Motorsports. You know, put a 1-2. That's awesome. They're look forward to running very strong and, you know, go back to back next week, week after, every week if we can. You know, that's the whole mentality of it. Win after win, and you know, celebrate.
Hopefully you're getting a spot cleared out for the hardware that you're going to be walking away with this one, Ronnie. Before we let you go, as always, sponsors and shout-outs to people that make this kind of a race possible for you and the team.
You know, first off, everyone at the crew at Wicked Motorsports, you know, they did an awesome job. Seth there for helping me. He almost had that last lap pass. Donnie, Jose, everybody else, Rod, you know, everybody here Sorry about that. Disabled drivers, want to throw a shout out to them. My family, my brother, my nieces. Hi, guys. And just everyone else, everybody here, man. Thanks. Appreciate it all. And it's actually good to get a non-points win. I've struggled at these a few times.
Well, you get your Season 4 campaign and your quest for a championship run the best way possible with the first checkered flag of the year, Rodney. Thanks for talking with us. Congratulations, and we wish you the best in the duels next week, as well as trying to qualify for the 500, and then your hopes and the teams as well for the rest of Season 4.
Thanks, guys, and thank you all very much, man. Y'all did a heck of a job.
That is your winner tonight from the Daytona International Speedway. Starting in 6th position is the 7 of Rodney Wofford, 5th career win in the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series. And before we step away, the full finishing results have been going across the ticker. Garrett Atwell, you were on board initially as a driver analyst. I guess PD got lost in the Daytona Rising construction, never made it back up, and kind of threw you into the fire, I guess we were talking about here. But what were your thoughts, as well as getting a very different opinion, because you were on the track racing with these guys, trying to get into those final 5 spots before you hopped up here. Your assessment, I guess, on what the racing was like when you were there with this draft, and then how you saw that correlate into the race, and your thoughts on how everything shook out.
Yes, this was absolutely a very entertaining race to watch. I cannot wait for the duels next week and then the 500 the week after. I mean, with 43 cars on this track, can you imagine how crazy that's going to be? I haven't even been in a pack that's that big with this build, so I've only been in about 12 car packs. You know, this season is going to be very different, have a very different look than last season. You're going to see not as much coming and going as you have in the last few seasons because it is so hard to pass in this new draft mall. But the later it gets, you can get huge runs, and that's going to be a big thing this season. And people having to chop off momentum, blocking. It's going to be a very entertaining season in iSuperSpeedway, and I can't wait to be racing and watching with you up here in the booth some.
And the qualifier for that, nearly twice as many cars as you saw tonight. Going to be in action in 1 week's time. Same field sizes, but then after that, 43 of them will pack the house back at Daytona for the iSuperSpeedway 500. Unfortunately, I will not be able to be in the booth in 1 week's time, but it is going to be the iSuper Duels from Daytona to determine the field for the iSuperSpeedway 500. That race occurring in 2 weeks' time, as always, Friday nights on LSRTV. For more information on the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series, that's right, you guessed it, iSuperSpeedway.com, Twitter as well, at iSuperSpeedway, and Facebook.com/iSuperSpeedway. On behalf of the broadcast crew tonight, Garrett Atwell and executive producer Laura Lawson, my name is Evan Pasoko. Thank you for tuning in for the World Center of Racing. Congratulations to Rodney Wofford for kicking off Season 4 with a checkered flag, and we will see you same place, same time, the iSuper Duels from Daytona next week.